And today we're going to cover a tough topic that I think has touched all families in Mississippi, and that's the topic of cancer. Nobody wants to hear it's cancer, but sadly, so many of us have walked that journey, either personally or with a family member. But like all hard things, there is hope. And so this weekend, there is 20 years of hope lighting the way to cancer survivorship. It's happening right here in the central area. And joining us is the founder of the conference, Miss Susan Mason, and with Devin Moseley. So welcome, ladies. Both survivors yourself, correct?
We are.
Exactly.
All righty. Well, okay. So I know this, Susan, is your heart and soul, your baby of a conference 20 years ago. Take us back 20 years ago. What was happening in your life that you thought something like this needed to be offered?
Right. Well, I had the privilege of going to MD Anderson for one of their patient support group conferences, and it was so enlightening, so encouraging, and such a positive spark in a very dim time after my cancer diagnosis with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma as a 39-year-old mom with 2 young kids. And so after I came back from that conference, I thought, well, why doesn't the Jackson area have something to encourage and give hope to patients in this area? We have so many hospitals and doctors and clinics. Why don't we have something? And I didn't realize at the time how very competitive and political medicine can be. But we, lo and behold, got together a coalition that included the American Cancer Society, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, American Lung Association, the doctors, cancer oncologists in this area. And we said, yes, we can do this. We've got to do this. So healthcare professionals came together to really put this on for the patients in this area and give them something to look forward to. It's educational, it's inspiring, and you can bring joy to people when you give them hope. And that's what we've been doing for 20 years. You know, it's joy is a hard thing to think about when you hear the word cancer, right? Normally it's hashtag cancer sucks, which it still does. But there can be joy in the process, and there can be joy for those who hear the wonderful words of you're in remission or, one step in front of the other. And I know, Devin, you too have a personal story of cancer, 6-year survivor. Congratulations. So share a little bit about your story.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 37, so kind of similar age-wise with Susan. I had a 3rd grader and a 5th grader at the time, and we had just walked my mother through her cancer diagnosis. So, it was a lot. But when you just said the key words of day by day, that was probably the best advice I ever received during the whole time. But you don't look forward. You don't think, oh, goodness, what's 6 months from now going to look like? What's a year? What is this afternoon going to be? What is tomorrow morning? What is tomorrow afternoon? And I'm going to do right now what I can do with the information I have right now, with the truth I know. So, and that allowed my family to continue to prosper and to still have joyous times in the middle of uncertainty and chaos.
You mentioned information that you have and information you have now. I would feel like, anyone who has walked through that, the moment you hear it or you hear it about a family member, most go straight into like, okay, tell me everything I need to know. What are my options? All the sort of, forecasting sort of things. And you try to become, decipher an encyclopedia and try to become, an oncologist overnight. And you can't sort of do that. So I feel like your 20 years of hope also help you push the brakes and sort of get the information that's important for you now, because you don't need to know everything in the beginning. Exactly. And our conference, which is this Saturday at 8:30 to 1, it's free to anyone who would like to come. We also give continuing education for social workers. But what we do is provide information for those who are newly diagnosed, as well as the long-term survivor and everything in between. We have an amazing counselor coming this year, Carla Hardin from Fairhope, Alabama, and her specialty is trauma and dealing with trauma emotionally, spiritually, physically, and how you work through the trauma of a cancer diagnosis. So we have some excellent experts. In fact, our first session is called the Experts
panel because we have 5 area experts that will speak on a different area, and it will resonate with different survivors for different reasons. But you pick up what you can when you need it, like Devin said, and that will help you in your journey and what you need.
Devin, you mentioned you've walked the road of cancer with your mother, and then you walked it as the individual, living with it. What are in terms of, I guess, not needs, they're both the same, but in terms of information or hope and encouragement, because you walked it with your mom first, how is it different being the caregiver versus the patient? You have a unique perspective.
And I'm a nurse by background, too, so that impacted how I helped my mother and took care of her. It's harder to watch someone you love go through this than it is on your own. You know what you can shoulder. You can be tough, you can be brave, but you don't want to require anybody else to have to do that. And so it's just hard watching. But I think support-wise, just being available, like for others, and just knowing you can talk to somebody, or for both the survivor and the caretaker, and just somebody doing nice things for you. If you're a patient, if they bring you flowers or lotion or lipstick or just a sweet text or card. And really all of those things go for the caregiver as well, as I stop and think about it. But just when you know a family or whoever's going through something hard like this, open your eyes and think, what can I do? I used to say, I'm having chemo, but our grass is still growing. Somebody want to mow the grass? I mean, you don't ask that, but it's kind of a joke. But hey, people think I'm not good at helping.
Right.
But they are. Everybody can do something.
And I think it's, there's 2 types of folks. You either lean into it and you know exactly what to do. And I would say if you are that person, then rally the troops and organize it. And then if you're one that sort of leans back, then don't be shy. Try to find someone who, can, and just get in where you sort of fit in. And then 2, always just the thought of prayers or just acknowledgement that you're still on someone's mind, I think goes a long way too. Because, if you're thinking like a church the size of First Baptist Jackson or some of the others, if you felt like you had to physically touch the lives of everyone that's going through something hard, that gets overwhelming, right? But you can still be a part of the bigger pie that's sort of they're supporting, because one day it may be your turn, right, Susan?
Absolutely. It sounds just common sense. If you see a need, then just try to meet it. You don't have to meet every need that you hear about, but just when something is in front of you this day, then do that. Just open your heart to see what is right in front of you and reach out to someone in need. There's so many, like Devin said, small things that you can do, and just a kind smile. Or a sweet note. All those things are very important. And we talk a lot at the conference about what is available, what is a support group, who do you need around you, what do you need around you to have a more positive outcome and to really improve your quality of life, because that's a lot of what it's about. You may not be able to control the quantity of your life, but you can certainly control the quality of your life and what you're doing to make it better. And so a lot of practical, helpful hints that we give at the Hope Conference. And one of the favorite ones in the most personal session we do is with the what we call Survivor Spotlight. We have several survivors there, and they introduce themselves, talk about themselves, and then they're going to break into smaller groups with people with their same diagnosis and be able to sit and have more of a support group round table discussion about, okay, this is the nitty-gritty of it. What do I need? What helped you? What might help me? And so we have that will happen Saturday too. So it's a real positive way to reach people and to give them.
And this is all free,
something.
which I think
it's
is wonderful.
Free,
so
yes.
where do listeners go to sign up?
They can go to www.hopeconferencejackson.com to register, and it is at First Baptist Jackson, 8:30 Saturday, March the 4th.
And we take registrations that morning as well.
Yes, you can walk in.
All righty. Well,
And we're showing it live streaming. So if you're not well enough to come, you can still register and watch it on live stream.
well, I hope you're back for 40 years of hope.
Thank
How about
you.
that? I think that's wonderful.
Thank
All
you.
right, you guys stick with us. We got some more good things for you coming up next.